Hey guys, welcome to week 3 of virtual band camp. Thank you so much for your hard work and dedication all the way up to this point, and keep pushing forward with this. It's really great to see the information that you guys take in and just run with it. So thank you for your time so far, and I'm really excited to get this video started because this is the video we've all been waiting for. Week 3, forwards, technique, and 4 count kick and rolls. Good stuff. Let's get started right away. All right, first things first, we gotta remember we're standing in our nice, strong, balanced posture that we established in our first video. We have our core engaged, our pelvis tucked under so we can achieve this nice flat back. Everything is open, everything is relaxed, everything is stacked vertically on top of each other before we even begin our initiation and our 4 count kick and roll. All right, so the first thing we're gonna go ahead and break down is the initiation of this 4 count kick and roll. The initiation is going to be the and count before 1 of our 4 count kick and roll. Now this is going to look like a complete full force arch in the left foot. What I mean by this is that our left heel is going to be brought up to its full extreme, full capacity. We can't go any further with this left foot, and our knee is going to be directly over our toe. Really make sure that you're maintaining this knee over the toe format, because we don't want our knee going wonky places. We don't want our knee going inside or outside of our toe, because that's how we can actually lead to injury. So really focus on driving your knee out over your toe. Now I use the word driving because this motion, when we speed it up, when it's in context, is going to be characterized as a really energetic motion. This articulation, what I want you to think about, associate articulation with energy. We want to set up our motion with tons and tons of energy. So go ahead and do this with me a few times. We go 5, 6, 7, 8, and really hit the and of count 8 in this position. What I want you to think about is just kicking your knee forward into a wall right here, and it stops. 5, 6, 7, 8, and 5, 6, 7, 8, and. Right, lots and lots of energy there. Now that we have our posture and our initiation down, we can go ahead and move into count 1 of our 4 count kick and roll. Count 1 is going to be our articulation. So if we had 5, 6, 7, 8, and in our initiation, count 1, the articulation, is going to be what moves our left foot from this 45-degree pathway into what's going to be parallel pathway later. So we have our feet looking like this, and then our left foot is going to come up into parallel. If we need a visual of what this parallel pathway is going to be like, because it's kind of hard to imagine if we don't have both of our feet in parallel, right? That is going to be the same pathway as your hips, your hip bones jutting directly forward. So go ahead and meet me in this position here at our initiation, our energy-filled first left foot initiation, and think about kicking that left foot straight out into the pathway of your hip bone, straight out forward in front of you. So 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1. Try that a few times. 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1. So this pathway that your foot is taking is really just your heel. Your heel is traveling from this point in space, this heightened point. Your heel can go no further. It's going to travel in a straight line path right down. Did you see how much energy that took? 5, 6, 7, 8, and energy, lots of energy there. This is part 2 of energy. The articulation is your first source of energy, the first burst, and the second burst of energy is going to be your articulation. So we have 8 and then 1. We kick our left heel out directly in front of us. So now we have our left foot that is in our parallel pathway, what's going to be parallel, straight line pathway, and our right foot is remaining in our 45. So what I want you to really think about here is the very back edge of your shoe. Now I'll go ahead and take off my shoe. What I mean by that is this very last molecule on the very back edge of your shoe. I want you to actively think about having that be the only point of contact with the ground. So meet me here in this initiation with the knee over their toe. Now think about that molecule just in a straight line path traveling to meet the earth on 1. So 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1. Kick straight out. Is that molecule the only thing Think about that. Now go ahead and lift up your left foot in the air right now. If that took you a second to lean back and then lift up your foot, that is a tendency that we have to place our weight forward. Right now, our weight should be still placed completely behind us in our back, in our standing leg. So this front leg, completely weightless. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to sink into our right hip, right? Our right hip is going to be lifting up. We're going to lift up out of our pelvic bone. We're going to lift up, engage the core, and lift up through the space. But all of our weight is in our right foot. So try that. Feel this weight, and just lift up that left foot. Weightless. Try this a few times with me. We're going to go 5, 6, 7, 8, and initiation. 1. Kick to count 1. This is the kick of the 4-count kick and roll. 5, 6, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1. Now, check, mental check here. Is our left heel barely making contact with the ground? Just that one tiny speck on the bottom of your shoe. That's the only thing making contact with the ground here. The reason why we do this, the reason why we think about this, is because if just that little bit of your shoes making contact with the ground, if you eliminate the surface area that's touching the ground, if all of this part of your shoe is touching the ground, how much more can you possibly lift your toes off the ground? That's how we get lower toe heights than we want. We want to maximize our toe heights by minimizing the surface area that our heel is touching the ground. Now, if this is an issue for you right now, if maybe you've struggled with your toe heights in the past, or you're just learning this right now, and you're saying, oh, this is really hard for me to get my toes that high, don't worry. There's a lot of calf stretches that you can do that are really going to substantially help you here. So you can go ahead and get a wall like I have behind me and practice every day, placing your heel as close to the wall as possible, lifting your toes, pressing your toes against the wall, and holding that 30 to 45 seconds. Switch legs. Even if your toe heights are relatively solid, you're like, oh, I got this, my toes are sky high, still do these stretches. These stretches are going to really help your muscles and your calves get acclimated to marching again, because we've been off for a whole year up until now. So little tidbit of information there about stretching and calves. Let's go ahead and try this a few more times with all of that information in mind. So we're really lifting up out of the right hip socket, and the left foot is going to be weightless. Just the last molecule of the back edge of the heel making contact with the ground, and our toes are going to go ahead and kick out our heel. Our toes are going to go ahead and kick out into a straight line pathway. Let's try this. 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1. Check that. Where's your weight? Awesome. So that is our initiation into our first articulation of the 4-count kick. Alright, so what's the next step here? We have our initiation into our first articulation, but our back foot is still in our 45. We can't march like that. We need our back foot to be in parallel just like our front foot. The way we're going to do this is by rolling through the front foot and up in the back foot simultaneously. This sounds like a lot, but we're going to break it down. I want you to think about your foot in 4 sections. Your heel, ball, arch, toe. 4 distinct locations on your foot. You got your heel, arch, ball, toe. Now go ahead and visualize that for a second. Visualize your left foot that's in this position, meet me here, rolling down heel, ball, arch, toe, all the way down to a completely flat foot. Ignore your back leg for now. We'll get to that in a second. Just think, do this with me. Heel, arch, ball, toe. The last thing that made contact with the ground was your toe. We want to eliminate the tendency of just slamming the foot down. Really milk this motion. That's what's going to get us our fluidity and our sound once we add playing on top of the responsibility of marching. Meet me here again. Think about this a few more times. Roll heel, arch, ball, toe. You can think about yourself rolling a tube of toothpaste from underneath your foot. There's a Crest, Colgate, whatever you use, right underneath your foot, and you're just going to squeeze that out evenly. So heel, arch, ball, toe. Now, here's where the really, really fun, cool part of 4-count kick and roll comes in. This vocalization, heel, arch, ball, toe, doesn't just work for the front foot, it works for the back foot too, simultaneously. That's my favorite part of full count kick and roll. By the way, fun fact. So go ahead and meet me here. We're going to think about this back foot now. Watch what my back foot does. Notice what my back foot is doing as I'm saying heel, arch, ball, toe. So I'm rolling forward, heel, arch, ball, toe. My foot rolled off the ground in those 4 distinct sections as heel came off the ground first, ball came off, arch came off the ground second, ball, and then toe stayed on the ground and remained in contact in our fourth arch in the back. So do this with me. We have heel, arch, ball, toe. Now it's important here that because we had our back foot in a 45 and our front foot in a parallel, that this motion is fluid enough for our back heel to rotate up into what's going to be parallel. We don't want to stay with our our right heel jutted out still in a 45. We want to rotate our heel outward to meet our left foot in a parallel pathway. So let's try this good few times. So we have count 1, we'll just start on count 1. We have heel, arch, ball, toe. All right, let's take a look at the shape that we have going on right here. So our left foot has rolled completely flat onto the ground, heel, arch, ball, toe, and our right foot has rolled up, heel, arch, ball, toe. Now we have our toes remaining in contact with the ground, and our heel and the rest of our foot is in this nice perpendicular shape right here. This is what we're going to call the T. So this is our complete forced arch right here. If we had a wall right here against my foot, straight up against the wall, nothing else would happen, there'd be no space. Go ahead and try that on your own. Really achieve this shape. What the tendency is that we're going to want to avoid is to straighten this leg like this. We want, go ahead, bend that knee. We want our knees, you see how my femurs, my thighs are parallel with each other in this plane right here? They're not, I don't have this space right here. I don't have this triangular space. I'm going to bend my knee to achieve this angle and the perpendicular angle in the back foot. This is what's going to be called our T, our forced arch. This is a very important shape, so go ahead, roll to this. Check yourself. Where are your angles? Make sure you can find both of your angles. Do this with me a few times. Roll forward and back. Cool. So now that we have this shape, we'll move on to our and count. Our and count is going to be this picture right here. Our back foot is going to just simply come forward into a perpendicular that's in line with our standing leg. Now we're tall through our standing leg, and our back foot, do we see how there's still that wall that we could put behind our foot and it'd be right up against it? The only motion that's going on here, we're just imagining someone took a hook into our knee and pulled it forward. A string tied around your knee, whatever you want to think about. We're just pulling this knee forward right here. We don't want any extra motion of lifting up and over or trying to drag that foot across the ground. We're just simply pulling the knee forward. So do this a few times with me. And so we have roll down to our T position. We're here. And find this position. Are our ankles aligned? Is all of our weight in our left foot and our left standing leg, but are we lifting up through the ground? We're pushing down to lift up. Try this a few times. Pull the knee forward. Good. That is our and count right here. This picture right here is our and count in our 4-count kick and roll. Okay, so another great thing about the 4-count kick and roll exercise is that from here on out, from our and position, we already learned all the elements we need to create this exercise. To do this exercise and to complete it on any level that you want, any tempo, any of that. We have our and position. All we're going to do is re-enter our articulation that we had in our first articulation, which was with our left foot. The only difference here is that we actually don't have to work as hard because we're not moving from a 45 into a parallel. We're just moving from a parallel into a parallel. So go ahead and take this right foot, think about that very, very last molecule on the edge, back edge of your heel, and drive it straight forward. Lots of energy here. Another point of energy. Your 2 points of energy are going to be your articulations and your initiations. We have and 2. Second articulation, think about that weight being lifted up through the left hip, which is now the standing leg. No weight on this right foot. Cool.
All right, so before we throw all of what you just learned into an exercise, there's one more thing that we need to introduce, and that's how we halt. Now, it seems like a very simple concept, but there are a couple of tendencies that can happen that may allow you to just get this not perfectly right. So let me show you how it's done. I'm gonna set up as if I just finished my left step forward. So my weight's all over my left foot as it should be described. My right foot is up at my T, up my forced arch, bent leg in the back. Now, posture's all set up. I'm gonna go ahead and take my right step forward. A lot of energy, a lot of high toes, that straight leg as is defined. Everything looks the same. Now, instead of rolling through your foot and rolling it down straight and parallel, you're actually gonna turn it back into first position. Watch me here. I motivate my weight forward from my back leg, same as always. Pushing forward and slightly turning my foot out. Now, my left foot comes in at the coupe and count. Same thing as before, as if we were continuing another step. And then I just place it down into first position. Let me show you one more time. Left step forward, posture's up nice and tall. Take that step, motivate the weight forward, turn out, coupe and count, close. Let me show you one more time in a little bit of faster motion. Here we go. And that's how we halt. The thing that you need to remember here is that it's no different than if you were trying to take another step forward. The and count is the same. The only thing that's a little bit different is that instead of rolling your foot down and forward, you're turning it out ever so slightly back into first position so that you have time to stop. All right, now let's go ahead and try and throw all of this, everything that you've just learned, into an exercise, what we're gonna call our 4 count kick and rolls. I'm gonna go ahead and do 4 steps. Everything should be exactly the same, step 1 to step 4. That's going to be the key. What you do in the very first 4 counts, from your articulation to your weight transfer to taking that next step, needs to be replicated from steps 1 through 4. Let me show you how it's done. 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2, 2, 3, 4, and 3, 3, 3, 4, and 4, 2, 3, 4, and halt. Notice how in that last demonstration, all of my upper body moved seamlessly in one unit across the driveway here. As I moved, everything was motivated from my back leg. I take my step, everything pushes straight forward. There's no up and down motion, nothing like that. Everything is just forward, horizontal motion. Now, a comfortable tempo to practice is at is gonna say 90 BPM. So I'm gonna set that met, and I'm gonna show you how it's done one more time. 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2, 2, 3, 4, and 3, 2, 3, 4, and 4, 2, 3, 4, and halt. Now, one of the key things here to notice about that exercise is that it breaks down everything up quite robotically. The next thing we're going to move into is trying to get your motion a little bit more fluid in what we call halftime motion or halftime march. Now, when you set your met to whatever tempo you're going to do, you're going to think you've done this before in music, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. It'll help you isolate the motion and get it moving a little bit faster before we jump into our single time. So let me show you how to do halftime march. I'm setting my med to about 140 BPM. Listen to it a little bit. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. I'm gonna do 8 steps and halt. Let me show you how it's done. 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, and 7, and 8, and halt. Notice that as I move, I'm really focusing on that and count crossing count. This coupe shape needs to hit every and beat. We need to see this in between each step. Let me show you one more time. 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, and 2, cross 3, cross 4, and 5, and 6, and 7, and 8, and halt. Go ahead and try that on your own. As you move into anything that's not a kick and roll, you'll notice there's no more visual silence between 1 and 2. The only purpose is for you to identify what the shape is on every downbeat, which was what we're looking for is 2 straight legs, 1 in the front, 1 in the back, nice high toes, back edge of the heel articulation. That's the only point for this visual silence. As you get into your halftime march, which I just demonstrated, or the single time march, which is what I'm going to demonstrate now, everything's a little bit more fluid. You're kind of running all the counts together. So the kick and roll is really going to help you isolate what the sensation is between each count and on each count. Now when you get into your single time march, which is mainly what we're going to be doing during the season, it's going to help you feel, oh, I'm doing all the sensations properly, just in a lot of faster motion. Now, level 1 for single time march is going to be 100 BPM. Every single step, every single articulation is on a downbeat. Let me show you how it's done. We'll do 8 steps and halt. 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, cross 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, halt. Just like that. Level 2 will be 120 BPM. Notice we're bumping it up a little bit. The key here, no matter what level you do, is to be consistent and smooth throughout your motion. Let me bump this up a little bit. 120 BPM, here we go. 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, cross 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and halt. Notice even though I moved at a faster tempo, nothing changed about the technique. Everything was still the same, everything was still consistent, my posture was still strong, my technique was still clear. Now, level 3, the final level of single time march is going to be 140 BPM. Let's give it a shot. All right, here we go. 5, 6, 5, 6, 4, 5, 6, 7. No matter what level you choose to do, make sure that you have mastered the level before. So if you're trying to go for 140, you're starting at 100 and you're mastering 100, 120, and then 140. Start from the bottom and work up to excellence. Before we jump into our single time march, one thing I want to explain to you first is knowing how to transition from different tempos or different subdivision breakdowns. So let me show you. And this is going to be part of your final exercise, final video that we assign later on. It's going to be 4 steps at the 4 count kick and rolls into 8 steps single time. Let me show you how it's done. We're setting at 100 BPM. Here we go. 5, 6, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2, 2, 3, 4, and 3, 2, 3, 4, and 4, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The purpose of this exercise is to help you identify what the sensations are when you're breaking it down very nice and slow in the 4 count kick and rolls, and then replicating that as you start to move into single time and making everything a little bit more fluid, just running through the checkpoints without stopping at every so count. For your assignment this week, you need to practice and demonstrate your knowledge of our forward marching technique. What this is going to mean is the first thing you need to do is at 100 BPM, the 4 steps at a 4 count kick and roll into 8 step single time that I just demonstrated, and then 8 step single time and halts at 3 various tempos. If you're level 1, go ahead and do 100 BPM, submit that, totally fine. The 120 and 140 that I demonstrated as well are for anybody who feels that they want to take on the next challenge, start to move a little bit faster, get their feet moving, and show that they have a strong understanding of our technique. So let me recap real quick. 4 steps forward at a 4 count kick and roll into 8 step single time and then halt, and then 8 step single time and halt at 3 various tempos, 100, 120, 140. Let's get to work.